All right, good morning. We are going to do Remember Me. It is a painting that we can do as a tutorial. Today, we're going to start off with doing a translucent effect on the background. We're going to do a purple background. We're going to do the bottom part is going to be a darker purple, if we can get any purple out of here. We're using Velvet Crush. And then the top, it has a little bit of white in it, but we're going to do it very, very thin over the background. And the reason why we're going to do it very thin over the background, we're actually going to pick up a little bit of water on our brush. We're going to dab off. We could actually use a wash brush, like a 2-inch brush for this, but we don't want your acrylic to get too thin, because if you get it too thin, it won't dry fast. And these are apple barrel paints, so they dry pretty quickly. So we're just going to go straight over the outline. And you can see how when you add just a little bit of water, it's translucent enough that you're not losing your background. We're just going to add like a little bit more water. And because we're doing this on paper today, we're doing this on an oil paper, like that's a good finish for oil and acrylic paper. You may get some rippling because you're adding the water in, but I love that really pretty orchidy color. And this particular color by Apple Barrel is called Lavender Sachet. So it's kind of got like a little more pink to it. And we're just going to kind of give it just a little bit of a kind of like a watercolor wash in the background. Just keep your strokes kind of clean. That way you can get all of your background done. What this does is that it actually helps you later on in the process. You don't have to go back and do background work in and around your flowers. So if you choose a color that's translucent enough in your background for your party art, you can keep the design pretty easily. Now you can always get you can always prime your canvases with a color, but this kind of helps because what you can do is with your more affordable craft paints, a lot of times they have a translucent quality anyway. Purples, reds, orange, yellow, those tend not to have a whole lot of one-stroke coverage, so you can still maintain the integrity of the design. So you can go back in and you can paint the design with your other paints. And while we're here, we're going to go ahead down at the bottom. We can go ahead and we can choose the purple. And this is just to do the background. The purple that I chose seems to be a little too old, so it's a little clumpy, but we'll get rid of those. But it still has a translucence to it. And you just kind of build up your color, your background color like this. And then at the end of your painting, if you want to go in and kind of put in some accent effects, you can do that, like shadow and different fun effects with other colors. Maybe you want to put some blue tones in with your purple foundation. But the main thing is that I wanted you to see that when you use a lesser expensive craft paint, you actually get some translucence out of it, and so you don't lose your design. And you can go in and you can kind of sharpen this up if you want with either one of the colors. just like that. And then as you get ready to do your design, it's dry enough that you can do your you can start doing the work of your artwork. What I would say is, and I like how this purple kind of comes up onto the reflection of the pot, and I'll show you why. Because we are going to do these pots more in the way of a French pot, where it's kind of got that terracotta look to it. It's almost like an apricot-y color. It's going to be nice to see some of the reflection of that color coming up on to the pot. So we're going to use, let's see what we've got here. We are going to use Cameo Pink. I may have to open up a new one. Let's open up a new one. So we're going to use the Cameo Pink. I'm going to put a thin coat over it. And then we're going to use this Tropical Orange. Just sparingly. All right, so we're going to go all the way over the pots. And they are kind of like this really pretty peachy color. So we're going... Let's fix the light. We're just going to block that color in. And again, we can see the design right through the paint, and that's okay. That is what we want. We want to be able to see through so that when we come back to do the design work, we can see where everything goes. So you can kind of see how the color of this peachy, pinky, kind of this cameo pink that goes right over the purple, it actually creates almost like a shadow value. And right around the pot area, so you have like a little bit of bleed back from the purple, and that is desirable too. So we're just going to block in the color in these little terracotta pots. You know, one of the pots, if you wanted to put a patina on, make it mossy, you could make it mossy. Or you can kind of add like that little white oxidation of the pots that we're so familiar with. You can do that too. Let's carry that color right up there. Okay, so right now we have some things already color blocked in. That is wonderful, because what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and put in like a little bit of dirt into this pot. So the color that we're going to use for dirt is actually the same color that we're going to be using. Not purple. It's the same color that we're going to be using when it comes to outlining this fun party art. Okay. Find it. It is going to be Burnt Umber. There we are. Burnt Umber is very dark, but it's brown. You don't need a whole lot of it. And still with your 1-inch brush, just saying a little bit on the tip, but a lot on the tip, because you're going to kind of go, like, imagine where the dirt line might be on your pot, and you're going to leave it just like this for right now. And you're going to trust the process, because all you're doing is you're inking in the design. Now, with the chisel part of your brush, while you still have that on your tip, you're just going to kind of create some strokes to build out some stems for that rosemary. Okay, just like that. So now you kind of have your architecture kind of built in there. You can kind of take your brush, and while it has like a little bit on there, you could go and kind of shade in, scrub in some color right on top of that. Kind of creates like a little shadow effects. And then while you have your brush here, you're going to take your brush into that tropic orange. That tropic orange, it is such a lovely color up against this purple. So you are going to go in just lightly over the dark areas that you did, the chisel part of your brush. And it kind of does like this really nice thing. Just kind of scrub some of that color right over the pot. The edge. Oops, get a little too much of that that brown on there. Get some of that brown off. Just pull that over with you. Maybe not that much. Now, if you're worried about this, you could right now, you could just take a dry brush and you could just kind of blend that color in there, because we were using that color as some shading tones, and you can just kind of take another shader or flat brush and just kind of scrub it around in a little bit. Whenever we finish up, you can see that it really was not a problem to have in there. We're just kind of blocking it in. So it kind of creates like this terracotta tone. So it's not pink, it's not orange, it's terracotta. All right. So while we have the moment of blocking in colors, I figured this is a really great time to do the sign. So we can clean out our brush, and with the granite gray, take that gray. You're just going to use a tiny bit. Knock off some of the color. And right here on this sign, you're going to go right over. And you can still see some of the words. You don't lose it entirely. And we're using the granite gray because rosemary is kind of pretty in just the green colors. But when you add just a little bit more of the gray as the highlights of the green, it tends to have a little bit more of a natural feel to it. All right. So, and we have everything kind of blocked in right now. Now we're going to start working on the Echeverria or the Henson chicken, whatever you want to call it. You can start working on that. And then you could also start working on the rosemary. And so the brushes that we're going to use for the rosemary is we're going to use a filbert brush. And the filbert brush that I have selected is this one right here. This is like a number 2 filbert. It's really tiny, and it really kind of creates those lines that we want. And so I think what we will do right now, we'll go ahead. We have quite a bit of paint still on our palette. I think what we will do is we'll go ahead and we'll use this new Shamrock. It's very, 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 very green. We'll put just enough out. About a half a teaspoon is all you need of that. And then, oops, did I get the wrong brush already? Picked up green with green. You could have used a round brush for that as well. But I'm going to use this filbert because it does a lot of my work for me. And I am going to start at the top and work my way down. See how green it is? It's shocking. On all the stems, start at the top and work your way down. Or rather, start at the ends and work your way down. And you just kind of keep walking it down. And you're just basically making some marks. Now, if you did not have the design here and you were freehanding this without a design, it may go quicker because you don't have to go inside the line of anywhere. You can kind of do your own thing. We're just going to let that green dry, and then we're going to come back and we're going to add another layer on top of there, and that way the green will not be so shocking. Use maybe like a lime tree to kind of soften it up. You're probably wondering, why just the marks? Why not like spend the time in the oval of the leaves? Well, in just a minute, we're going to show you exactly what happens when you change up your brush. And you put another color. It will create the illusion that you're looking for. So it already has kind of like that rosemary feel to it. We're going to let this dry just like that. And then while we still have some green on our palette, we're going to fill in the Echevera. And we're going to switch up the brushes for this one. Let's see. We're going to use a shader or a flat. And I'm going to get down here with you. And on this, to kind of create that Echevera has kind of like a green and a gray kind of feel to it. We're going to change it up. We're going to use lime tree. Hopefully it'll come right out. Okay, lime tree. And then we're probably going to use some of the other colors that are actually on our palette already, like that purple. But we're just going to go ahead and we're going to block it in with that lime tree. You can kind of see how some of that apricot color, it comes through pretty easily. We'll just kind of follow the line, and we're just blocking in color. just like that. And painting can be so relaxing. And I don't know if you can hear, but just outside of my window, there's a songbird. And it sounds like she's really singing or fussing or something. Let me just block that in. And a little bit, we'll add some more detail. Let's try to get the clumps out so it'll dry a little quicker. That's one thing about party art, is that you want it to dry a little quicker than normal. And these green colors are very shocking to a lot of people when you're starting to use them. A lot of times they're like, no, 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 that's a terrible color. But after you start working with it and you start layering in the other colors, I promise you that this cadmium green color that people are really afraid of is actually going to look quite nice. It adds life to your painting. I like to use cadmium green, or like the synthetic cadmiums, which lime tree is so close to a cadmium green. It just adds like a little bit more excitement. All right. So we have another little green that's happening over here. We can go ahead and block that in. We don't have to change our brushes if you don't want to. On this particular green, let's kind of get a little exciting. let's take a little bit of the dark green and the light green together and kind of make a medium green. Knock off some of that. And then just like we did before, let's go from tip to, we'll go tip, up. And you just walk it up. And it creates a really nice effect. Tip up. And you have just enough here. And so it's kind of nice and bright. And when we pull our other highlighted colors or our shaded colors in with that, it's going to look really nice. Okay. So while we have a little bit of this medium green on here on our brush, we can go right into that rosemary, this rosemary needles, kind of just pull in randomly upon all of the leaves, just kind of knock off some of that green, that medium green color, right onto some of those other leaves. Just create some excitement. And then one of the colors that you probably would not think that would look really great on your foliage is actually the gray, and that would be very interesting. You could even pull in a little bit of that purple value if you wanted to, that purple hue, if you wanted to. Get a little bit of the gray on there and just kind of flick it right across some of those needles, because that green and that gray work so nice together. Sometimes we forget about adding a little light to our fun art. And that's a great way of adding in some light to kind of pull in some of the texture. Maybe that was a little too much texture. But then we have like a little bit more fun going on when we add some texture in. Get rid of some of that dirt. And pull in some of that lime green. Kind of pulls your eye down into that green color. We add just a little bit into the leaves. It kind of makes it not feel so shocking anymore. But as I said, we're also going to add in some of the purple tones. There we go. It's looking lovely. Okay, so now we've got our rosemary pretty much done. Pretty much done. We may want to add some little extra touches in a minute if we feel like we need to. So it's looking really nice. Okay, with our shader, still our shader right here, we have this green. Let's go ahead and let's pull in some of the pink tones into this. And so the pink tones are actually going to do really nicely if we add in some Diva Pink. So the Diva Pink is actually going to pull in that Velvet Crush that we used down here in the bottom. But I think you're going to really like what happens when you just kind of outline. You can start in the outside, you can work your way in the middle, however you wish. So you got a little bit of that red going on. Now you can add a little bit of that darker green. Up in it. You can maybe even add some of that gray tone in there. Don't lose your green. Don't lose too much of your green. Kind of gives you kind of that mossy color that you see like at the nursery. But you can see how that lime green just went right away. You can add like a little bit more of that Kelly green in there. And kind of walk some of that color down to each leaf. So you're not losing all your green. And you're still maintaining some of that pink. You can kind of play with this with your shader, kind of pull some of the color around. On this baby one, maybe we'll do the green first. We'll see which one we like better. And then with our, we'll go ahead and put some of that pink. Pull it right onto that green, and it kind of creates like a, kind of neutralizes the green a lot because the tone, so we can go ahead and pull just a little bit more of that lime tree right over it. And we'll go back and we'll do some detail. And then on this particular part of the plant, it's like it is radiating kind of to the 3 o'clock or the 1 o'clock, kind of and backwards a little bit even. But we'll go ahead and we'll give it some of that pink tone to it. And then we'll pull in that dark green. Sharpen up those colors. Don't blend, just right over. You're just kind of making like little radiations, like almost like a sun ray. It just kind of gives you the illusion that it's looking to the back. All right, so then on our Burroughs towel right here, let's add just a little bit of that lime tree back in there. Don't want to lose that, and then we'll come back and we'll add some more gray tone to it. Okay, so on our Burroughs towel, we're definitely going to add in more of that gray tone to our Burroughs towel. So with our same brush, actually let's change our brushes over to a round brush, and we'll just load up our brush with the gray, and right over the green we're going to just dot, 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 dot. And just walk it right up. If you see that maybe you needed another stroke or two of that gray to kind of fool your eye, that's okay. All right. So now we have a little bit of gray on the tips of our brush. We can go ahead and we can add like a tiny bit of kind of light to our hens and chicks. Let the gray kind of be the white this time. The gray is actually going to read as green and not highlight. It's not going to really read as a highlight whenever you just kind of add like a little dot of it like that. It actually makes the plant look more natural when you add in that little bit of gray. Very similar to the way that it grows. Okay. So now we have a little bit of a situation here. We still have this brush here, but I'm looking at the rosemary, and I'm feeling like there's a little too much kind of going on right there. So I'm going to pull in some of the brown. I'm going to pull in some of the green together. I'm going to make kind of like almost like an olive, very, very dark green. I'm going to pull in some of this lime green with it. And so right over the rosemary, right over those highlighted points, just kind of enter, kind of in and out. Just gonna play with some of that darker tone or shade. Kind of get rid of the tone and the tint. We don't want to lose that fun green color, because that's what makes this kind of art so much fun, is that it's so colorful. But I also like to have like a little bit of that shaded color kind of worked in and out of the design. It just looks fun. Just kind of in and out. Don't want to get rid of all of the fun green colors. Leave those kind of in there. Just kind of giving it a little bit more depth. There we go. And if you want, from here, you can go ahead and you can start doing your outlines. But I think before we do an outline, let's go ahead and do our words. So our words are remember me. Okay, so we're going to go remember me. Okay, with the brown, just up on the tip of this brush. Have to remember how to spell it, because if we're painting it, we always want to know how to spell it. Even though it's such a simple word, we can really screw this up. You know what? I'm going to change brushes real quick to a more fine brush. We do not have to have excellent handwriting to do a painted prayer. And with the same brush, we can go ahead and just gently outline what we have done. The fun part about this is that we do not have to, we don't have to go over every single line, okay? We don't have to go over every single part. We don't have to outline everything. The parts that we do want to outline are the things that we really want to accentuate, okay? Like this area right here. We're just going to go underneath each of the little hangy downy parts. We're just going to go right underneath it. Notice we're using a dark brown instead of a black. You could use a black, but it becomes real harsh when there's not any black in your painting. It's better just to go with like something that's nice and chocolatey, or like the darkest color that you have been using. Let's say you were using blues, maybe you would use like a navy, like a dark gray. All right. Start in the middle and work your way out. Just kind of keep your hand loose. You don't want to hold it too much. I mean, you can hold it like a pencil, but it's better just to kind of let the tip do the work. This is a good part to get quiet and just enjoy the process. And you can see that this painting does not take very long to complete. It's actually quite an easy painting to do for a paint party. It's very easy to accomplish within, for a more skilled painter, you probably paint this up, and we painted it up in probably about an hour, but you could probably really play with it a little bit more and add in some fun effects like some golds or some dots, or whatever your accent might be, can add in quite a lot of fun. And through here, we're just going to kind of do like we did a while ago, and we're just going to kind of create like a little bit of textural shadow. Not too much, because the more you do, the messier it's going to look. And the last thing that we like to do on these types of paintings is just give it like a little bit more life. And the way you do that is you can use like a little bit of white. this basically, it creates a little bit more of a dimension. We are just kind of working in some of that, the brown tone kind of up. You don't want it to look too spiky. So just the tips. Keep it random. Don't worry about where shade is supposed to go. That's when you start trying to think about where the light is going to go and where the shadow is going to go and everything. Your fun art becomes not so fun anymore. Now you can certainly do some really whimsical fine art and do a lot of that, but this is just for fun. So keep it fun. Keep it folksy. All right. So looking through our finder here, I see that we have a lot of light colors kind of still through here. That does not bother me at all. But I'm going to show you something just to kind of give this a little bit more fun character to it. If you wanted to, you can add some little fun excitement to it. Okay, remember we were going to do some whites, right? Well, let's go ahead and with our, while we have our oh, brush here, our smaller brush, and we want to use that filbert. That's the one that has that roundish head to it. This is really a fun brush to use. Okay, so we can go ahead and we can pick up this lavenderish color and we can pull it down and we can do some fun things. Just some fun stuff. You know, if you wanted to, you could add like a little flower or something. You could do that. Just add some fun things. Just right on top. Who knows what it is? It could be anything. But it adds like a little bit of fun to it. Just some little fun, exciting little dots. Who knows what they are? They're just fun. Just kind of adds like a little silliness to it. Just kind of random. You want to pull in some of that pink. This would be a good time to pull in that pink. Give like some little bubbles or something. Like maybe these are bubbles. Maybe they're marbles. You know how like whenever you lose your marbles, you forget? That's kind of fun. We can put some marbles in here. Oh, lost your marbles, right? Maybe that marble doesn't belong way up here in the area, but we can make it a big marble if you want to. Maybe we'll add just kind of add in some fun marbles. Who knew we were going to add marbles? So that's the fun part about painting, is that you never know what you're going to end up with when you're creating. You never know. This one is just kind of off to the side. Maybe we'll add in like a little bit of gray tone into those marbles, and then just a little bit we'll add some, I need to make this marble sit on the ground a little bit more. We'll add a little bit of the white to it. Let's add some green and pull that green into it. Give it some fun. This would be a fun place to add in blue, but we didn't use blue, so There we go. That was fun. All right, so the next thing that we would do is this is where we would add our white in. Like the little marble effects. Those are a lot of fun. You can add in like a little bit of that peach color because you know that peach is it's going to reflect over onto these marbles. So you do it like just gently. All right, that's fun. That's a lot of fun. Don't worry about them being perfect. It's whimsical. It's fun to have like the little marbles. Maybe we have like a little marble over here on the back. Let's make a pink marble back here. Give it a little green. It's just fun to, just whimsical. And then now we can put that white. And where do we put the white? Well, if we want to put some white up in our rosemary, we can. Let's kind of give it a little bit of a little whisper of white. Not all over the place, just here and there. Less is more. We're gonna maybe get like maybe keep it to odds. There you go. All right, now this white right here on our, just kind of dot it. It already has the gray in there, but it just adds like a little bit of fun, little sheen. Now on the marbles, this is the fun part. On the marbles, we can just add like a little dot of white. We don't even have to add any outline to the marbles if we don't want to. We can leave them just like they are. Let's take a look. It's kind of fun. And if we wanted to, we could add like a little bit of white up here on the terracotta pot. Just gives it a little whimsy. Now up here on the sign, we probably want like a little drag of it on the sign, so it looks like a little wooden sign. There we go. That's what we have. And if you wanted to add like a little bit more, if you're feeling brave, you want to add like a little deeper shadow tone to the underside of this, you could take your brush, take your shader, find it again, take your shader, oh there it is, take your shader, your flat brush, and your purple, and you could just go over it and make it darker, you know, because remember this was just a translucent effect. And if you wanted to, you can pick up a little bit of the brown. Right underneath those marbles. And just kind of give it like a little washing of color underneath. And go with the purple back over the brown. just to kind of blend out that brown. And it keeps it whimsical and in check. All right, so that's it. And if you decide that you want to go around with the marbles, you can. I'm going to pull out my liner. And I'll just go right into the brown that we have used for lining. And it's up to you how you want to do that. Just remember not to get your lines really thick. Keep it loose. You don't even have to do all of them if you don't want to, or you don't have to do any of them at all. But yeah, I do. I like the marbles. I think that's kind of fun. It really works with the whole remember me, remembering where you left your marbles. That playful, we're talking remember me is about, it's a biblical thing, but sometimes it's fun to just kind of create some of the whimsical paintings for a painted prayer. It's nice to do a painted prayer without it always having to be real serious. You can do it in a fun way, like this way. And how pretty the purples. It's a nice seasonal painting that if you wanted to, that's gonna have to go in the garbage now. If you wanted to do this 11 by 14 in a seasonal frame where you change out your paintings like every once in a while. You can change out your paintings. If you wanted to, you could go back over this with your Posca pen and you could do some other fun stuff, but I love it the way that it is. What do you think? I hope that yours turns out really lovely too. You don't have to use the purples as your background. Remember that you can actually use other colors for your backgrounds. You don't even have to use the same color pots or the same color greens as I did here. But what a fun little painting to do.